Ciao. Gay Satanism Art Journal SatanArt, number 49. SatanArt is a visual addition to the Grimoire Gay Lust. The album theme is Kremlin propaganda of the Russian world, the damned faces of Russian fascists and Putinism propagandists. Supplement to the Grimoire Gay Lust. The names of the paintings are in English. The album was compiled by a Satanist of His Majesty Satan, the Antichrist Slut Sodomia. Supplement to the Grimoire Gay Lust. The names of the paintings in English. The album was compiled by His Majesty Satan's Gay Slut Sodomia, aka Antichrist Slut Sodomia. This album complements previous SatanArt albums dedicated to exposing the evil of Rashism-Putinism, known as Russian fascism or the Russian world. Media propaganda has long played a key role in modern fascism, and the state-organized criminal group, SOCG, Rashist Federation, actively uses propaganda, lies, and mass disinformation in Russia and around the world. Russian fascists love to talk about how great and heroic they are, how they liberate territories, spreading the stench of the Russian world through war and propaganda. In SatanArt number 49, I included the trilogy, The Adventures of Jesus Christ in the Russian World of the Russian Village, painted by artist Simonov. This trilogy consists of 3 paintings, and it recounts the bitter experience of Jesus of Nazareth's encounter with the Russian world. In SatanArt number 49, I collected various faces and phenomena of Putinism, focusing primarily on artistic paintings. In this regard, SatanArt number 49 is similar to SatanArt number 24, but with an emphasis on specific public figures of Putinism who contribute most to the creation and spread of the Russian evil of war and the contagion known as the Russian world. Here's the definition of Russian world from Wikipedia. Russian world is a nationalist term used to denote a cultural, civilizational, geopolitical, and religious concept that envisions the unification of Russian-speaking people worldwide. However, the concept of Russian world lacks a clear interpretation and legal definition. In 2014 and 2022, the Russian world doctrine was used by Russian authorities to justify their invasion of Ukraine.
The definition of the Russian world from the Antichrist Slut Sodomia is simpler. The Russian world is the drawing of people around the world into the orbit of evil Russian fascism, controlled by the state-organized crime group Russia through propaganda, pseudo-history, Russian culture, and war. Russians are the heirs of the cannibalistic, androphagic people who have captured 11 to 13% of the planet Earth's land mass and are attempting to spread their influence to neighboring peoples and seize neighboring lands. In this, all empires, past and present, are very similar. The peculiarity of the empire Russia, or the Russian Federation, is that it is populated by degenerate alcoholics and ruled by psychopathic autocrats who have rejected Satan for many generations. Instead of the light of Satanism, Russians are illuminated by vodka and any other alcohol. After this enlightenment from alcohol, a modern mutant of the Russian world emerged across many generations and over the centuries, a Russian who is brainless, dumb, and incapable of critical thinking. This has been noted by many bloggers, journalists, and analysts on YouTube and throughout the Internet. The criminals of the Kremlin's organized crime group Russia quickly realized this and are using Russians as puppets to enrich themselves, consolidate their power, and elevate themselves above the Russian rabble. The main tools for this are 1. Propaganda in various media outlets inundates Russians with lies. 2. The Russian Orthodox Church sect operates within Christian traditions to subject evil and prevent resistance. 3. The apparatus of violence of the state-organized crime group Russia, the police, guards, soldiers, judges, prosecutors, investigators, and security officers keeps the population in constant fear, threatening reprisals for disobedience. The appropriation of mineral resources by the ruling elite of the Russia state-organized crime group gives the Kremlin dwellers the opportunity to finance their atrocities. Waging wars and pumping the population with patriotism allows the most violent degenerates of the Russian world to be disposed of through death at the front or through mental insanity based on worship of the evil regime, i.e. the personality cult of the social crime group leader. The Russian world and the crimes of the Kremlin's organized crime group are most dangerous and harmful to the Russian people themselves, who suffer most directly from the mafia criminals led by Putin. However, Russians are so stupid, lacking critical thinking and inspiration from Satan, that they are incapable of recognizing and resisting evil. The Antichrist Slut Sodomia has repeatedly emphasized that it is inspiration from outside, and especially inspiration from Satan, that gives a person awareness and the ability to resist evil. That's why the Kremlin's gang of scoundrels is so afraid of Satan and has declared Satanism a global extremist organization. Before banning Satanism, the Kremlinites banned the LGBT community from emerging from the social plinth, also declaring LGBTQ+ an extremist organization.
Russians have failed to defend the freedom of LGBT people, Satanists, or liberals. These moral monsters are always silent, as in the final words of the final scene of the tragedy Boris Godunov by A.S. Pushkin, 1799 to 1837. The famous expression, "the people are silent," is usually considered an image of the silent submission of the Russian people, ready to accept any decision of the authorities and any authority at all. In this regard, Russians are similar to many Germans during Adolf Hitler's Third Reich. "When they came" is a quote from the speeches of German pastor Martin Niemöller, which he used to explain the inaction of German intellectuals and their non-resistance to the Nazis. "First, they came for the socialists, and I remained silent, because I was not a socialist. Then they came for the unionists, and I remained silent, because I was not a unionist. Then they came for the Jews, and I remained silent, because I was not a Jew. Then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak for me." From a satanic perspective, all wars between SOCG regimes are evil, just like the SOCGs themselves. Satanism strives for life in harmony with nature and without the existence of evil creatures such as Nazis, patriots, politicians, and members of the SOCG. However, our world is overrun by evil. Unlike hell, the god of religions has replaced people's personal spirituality with Satan. This is the primary cause of evil in our world. The second reason is the world's overpopulation, with its predominance of evil, soulless creatures who are inaccessible to the light of Satanism. Evil resides within these creatures. There are already 8 billion of these creatures, and soon there will be 10 billion. Satanists and spiritual people in our world are extremely few. With each new wave of human reproduction, the proportion of empty people who are of no use to planet Earth and who lack satanic spirituality increases. Antichrist Slut Sodomia wrote in more detail about the connection between the overpopulation of planet Earth, the spiritualization of people, and the division of the world into zones of influence of different homosexual groups in the Grimoire Gay Lust and in the satanic art journal SatanArt 23. Overpopulation, childlessness, antinatalism, anthropogenic pollution of the earth with excess human offspring. Many Kremlin propagandists, Russian Orthodox Church sectarians, and SOCG Russia bureaucrats openly call this a confrontation between Satanists and anti-Satanists. The Antichrist Slut Sodomia may agree with this reason voiced by Mordor propaganda at various levels of influence. Yes, this is one of the main reasons for the seemingly nothing but a war that virtually has no meaning or cause. Russia was not threatened, no one attacked Russia, yet it decided to fight Satanism by presenting its Russian world as an alternative to Satanism. The Antichrist Slut Sodomia dedicates SatanArt 49, the gay Satanism magazine, propaganda of the Russian world of the Rashist Federation, the damned faces of Russian fascist figures and Putinist propagandists, to the anti-fascist resistance that opposes the villainous SOCGs worldwide. At the present time, in 2025, a vast territory of planet Earth is occupied by an evil entity that John Ronald Reuel Tolkien called Mordor. Russia is a fascist cesspool inhabited by stupid people, the heirs of the androphagic cannibals of antiquity. The Russians have occupied a vast landmass, 11 to 13%, polluted it with their occupation, and threatened their neighbors with war. Even if a world war doesn't break out soon, revanchism will brew in this cesspool of the Russian Federation, as in Germany after its defeat in World War I. The most logical option is to divide the Russian territory into numerous small territorial self-managements, depriving them of nuclear weapons. That's the best option. Most of Russia's territory could be divided among neighboring state-controlled territorial groups. Siberia and the so-called Far East could be handed over to the artisans of China. Consolidating neighboring state-controlled territorial groups at the expense of Russian territory is not a good way to divide the largest empire on Earth. In 2023 to 2025, Putinism demands that Russian females reproduce at triple the rate of reproduction, but this will not help the evil of racism. Propaganda of lies and evil will also not help Russian fascism, and in the long term it will become a stain on the shame and human stupidity of the Russian people.
In the name of Satan, Lucifer, the Most High,